went back
They
to Japan.
they kind of brought him in when they brought in Jushin Liger because they had a lot of matches with Liger and Benoit, and then
Right.
I think that's when they first brought him in, I believe.
But I know he came back in 1993 because I came in at the same time. There was four people started around that time. There was myself, Max Payne, because Max had been in Germany with me the year before. Me and Max came from Germany to here. He could come straight to. I should have started in WCW on the 1st of January. My visa got held up a couple of weeks, so I didn't get here till the 23rd of January 1993. I had my first TV, which you can watch, and was being interviewed by Jim Ross on the 25th of January. It didn't get shown until the Saturday, I don't believe, of that week. It was a Monday, I believe, the 25th of January 1993. I arrived on the Saturday. I went to TV at Center Stage in Atlanta on Monday, and I did two tapings. I did an interview on the first one with Jim Ross. I did the second one. I did a match against Bob Cook, which we'll get to in a minute. Straight away, I knew I'd met Chris in 1991. There was a thing going on at the time called Eurosports, with one of the first cable stations in Europe. I was getting wrestlers from all over Europe, and we were doing these wrestling shows all in France. It was like a central point to get everybody to that was working in Germany, any of the European wrestlers and the British wrestlers. Well, Chris happened to be over there working. I was working in different parts of Germany for different promoters. He was working for Otto Vance for the CWA. We ended up meeting in a circus in Paris
Wow.
in the November of 1991 at a TV taping. I just finished being in Germany. I was back in England for a little bit, and I was going somewhere else. He was in working for CWA. We'll get, so again, there's all these stories. I only worked for CWA at certain points until 1992. That probably would have been a regular thing, but I had loads of other things going on. There was only so many spots for so many English guys, and I'd worked for him in 1989, which will play into this, by the way. Eventually, myself and Chris met each other, and I knew about Chris because I'd seen him in some of these. I could still get these Rings wrestling magazines, and we used to get tapes from Calgary and stuff. So I'd seen him when he was younger, and stuff from Japan. And so I'd seen him, and like-minded soul. He's a few years older than me, and I'd actually been wrestling longer than him, right? So he always used to. It was a weird thing because he used to always be very like as I was the older wrestler, because that was just the way he used to be. It was the length in the job, not age, that made you
A
sort of
veteran or not,
the
right,
veteran or not.
right.
And so he always asked me things. I mean, it's far greater thing than it, but that was the way it was because he know that he knew that I'd been in the job longer than him, and it was just
And
it
it
was so me and him were sat in the dressing rooms, like again. Arn Anderson wasn't there. Paul Orndorff was. Ricky Steamboat was. I got on great with from day one. I got on great with Brad Armstrong, Brian Pillman, Steve Austin. First day. Oh, and Mick Foley had turned up on the first day. I don't think he was wrestling. I think he was injured at the time, but he was there. So yes, we're all like-minded souls. We're all wrestlers. What
sure.
I consider wrestlers. Now there's this other group, and me and Chris are sat there, looking at each other, and they're talking about going out. We're watching them not watch the matches, which is a no-no. We're watching them talking about tanning beds and egg whites, which is, you know, you should be.
The look on your face.
Well, the thing that I find now, again, you have to adapt with the times. I had to start shutting things down that were drilled into me. Otherwise, I'd be like a lot of old wrestlers, screaming and shouting and going mad about everything.
Right.
It's just different. Things have changed, and you just have to adapt with it and go with it. And I don't expect everybody to have the kind of things that I went through, and I hope they don't. A lot of it, I try not to let them go through some of those things of I can teach you without battering the granny out of you. There's ways of doing things right. But like I see it now when I'm at work, this is now. So people listening, you might not like me next week, but anybody who knows me knows that I'm at work now. I am not in the position that I used to be. I am talent. I am going and training people and doing whatever, but it's not part of my job.
People get that confused a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
I am talent for AEW. I am there as talent. My phone is in my bag. I check it twice a day. From the moment I walk in that building, I am trying to learn something, or I am talking about wrestling to somebody, or doing some wrestling, or showing somebody. And not that I know anything. We get. I'm wanting to learn as much from the talent as they can teach me. I am open minded to learning what I want to do.
Yeah, I said in the first episode
Right.
that I feel you're always in teacher student mode. You're always ready to teach something, always ready to learn something.
Yeah, and I hate that teacher thing because then they think like I know better and I don't. It's not. I'm just open minded to it. But I've seen this happen, or maybe try this, or I've seen him do this, or I've seen this lady do this. It's open minded conversations. It's not. Or if somebody asks me, "What's your opinion?" then I might say, "Well, maybe your pins need a bit of work, or maybe this, or and explain why. The reason your pins need work, or maybe you need to work on this, it's so that the announcers can talk about everything you do and put you over. If you don't do something right, the announcers aren't going to talk about it.
Mhm.
Sometimes they can't because they've got other things to talk about. Here's a thought. This is how I try to explain wrestling. If you want to work at your craft, just imagine every single thing you do, and we're now it's paying off. Right? This has never been about. I've been saying this for God knows how many years because people taught me this. Now it's paying off. Everything you do, can it be shown? If somebody was to watch it in slow motion, would it hold up? And could an announcer announce it, every bit of it, and make it make sense? I used to have to try and break, and I still, again, that's another topic for another day. I can break that down for you. But I've heard this term with the young people nowadays. It's a gift world. Well, you cannot get, you can be on gifts, but you don't want to be on the wrong ones.
True.
If your stuff is good, and it recently happened to me, I was always taught, this is before anybody knew about any of this stuff. My teachers in the early 80s taught me, would your stuff still hold up? Make sure that you get to a place where your stuff holds up in 30 years. That was the exact term that they used to say to me.